Every now and then, a story does not come in screaming. It just hits the exact bruise. The Chargers are trying to escape that painful place of almost, of promise, of reaching the playoffs without delivering the final punch. And today, the conversation moves through new weapons for Herbert, a massive possible market opportunity, a running back who could become the engine of 2026, and a roster decision that says a lot about Joe Hortiz. Hit that like button right now because this is a real fan conversation for people who still believe. What hits hardest about this first story is that it is bigger than tight ends. It is about trying to change the kind of Sundays the Chargers have been living through. When Jim Harbaugh gets Los Angeles into back-to-back playoff appearances, something this franchise had not done since that stretch of AFC West titles from 2006 through 2009, that is progress. But progress without a playoff win starts to feel heavy. The fans know it. The locker room knows it. Herbert knows it. This team has not won a postseason game since 2018, and now every offensive detail carries even more pressure. That is why this improved tight end room stands out so much. Ben Solak of ESPN placed the Chargers tight ends among the 10 most improved position groups in the league, and honestly, it makes sense. This is not just roster makeup. It is a change in role, body type, and possibility. Will Dissly is gone. Tucker Fisk did not get a qualifying offer. Tyler Conklin went to the Lions. And in come David Njoku and Charlie Kolar, two players who bring different things but may give this offense exactly the kind of variety it needed. Kolar brings that gritty, physical presence as a blocker who can help hold the entire game plan together. And with Mike McDaniel taking over as offensive coordinator after Greg Roman's exit, that is not some small detail. McDaniel's offense needs to sell motion, angles, threat, run action, play action, and a tight end who can block changes the confidence behind every call. He makes a defense hesitate for half a second. In the NFL, half a second can be the difference between nothing and an open window. But the name that really gets your imagination going is Njoku. Even after missing games over the last 2 seasons following his 2023 Pro Bowl year, he still produced 97 catches, 798 yards, and 9 touchdowns in only 23 games. That is real production. And when Solak says Njoku has excellent hands in contested situations and could slide into the red zone role McDaniel used with Darren Waller in Miami, that lands directly on one of the Chargers' biggest pain points. Orendae Gadsden II was a beautiful find by Joe Hortiz in the 5th round of the 2025 draft. 49 catches, 664 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4th on the team in catches, yards, and receiving touchdowns. But there is a difference between finding a gem and having to lean on him too heavily too soon. Gadsden was the only Chargers tight end to catch a touchdown last season. That cannot be normal for an offense led by Herbert. Now, with Gadsden developing, Kolar doing the dirty work, and Njoku attacking the end zone, Los Angeles may finally turn this position from a patch job into a real weapon. The next story is the kind that makes every Chargers fan stop whatever they are doing, because it does not start in Los Angeles, but it could absolutely end up knocking on Los Angeles's door. George Pickens is entering the final year of his deal after receiving the franchise tag from the Dallas Cowboys. And even though Brian Schottenheimer said his absence from voluntary OTAs is not tied to his contract, the bigger picture is still sitting right there in the background. Dallas still has not locked him into a long-term deal. When a receiver with that size, that force, and that ceiling does not have long-term security, an ambitious team has to at least take a look. Not with panic, with competitive awareness. With the kind of front office mindset that spots a crack before everybody else starts screaming about it. George Pickens on the Chargers would be a strategic punch. Not just grabbing a big name and dropping him into the offense. It is understanding what Justin Herbert could do with a physical, aggressive, explosive target who wins contested catches, attacks vertically, and makes a defense respect every snap as a legitimate threat. Herbert has the arm for that. He has the nerve for that. He has the accuracy to turn a tight window into pure punishment for a secondary. And the fit alongside Ladd McConkey would be fascinating. McConkey would not lose value. It would be the exact opposite. He could keep being that smart, fast, reliable piece who creates separation, works inside, and hurts defenses with clean routes. Pickens would bring an entirely different kind of problem. The guy who raises the ceiling of a play, wins with his body, creates fear near the sideline, and shows up on 3rd down and in the red zone. The production in Dallas explains why this conversation hit so hard. Last season, playing alongside CeeDee Lamb and catching passes from Dak Prescott, Pickens had the best year of his career. 93 catches, 1,429 yards, and 9 touchdowns. He led the Cowboys in all 3 categories, made the Pro Bowl, and earned second-team All-Pro honors. That is not empty projection. That is star-level impact. For the Chargers, the ripple effect would reach the rest of the roster too. Quentin Johnston and Trey Harris would not have to carry an enormous responsibility by themselves next to McConkey. They could breathe a little, step into more favorable roles, and develop without being asked to become the main answer every single week. And that is the part that really gets me. Los Angeles is on the clock with Justin Herbert's prime years. A quarterback like that cannot spend forever trying to cover up the limitations around him. If an opportunity of this caliber truly starts to open, Joe Hortiz has to be watching. Because in the AFC, teams that wait too long usually end up watching somebody else become the aggressor. What happened to the Chargers in 2025 left that strange taste of a season that looked good on paper and still hurt in your heart. 11 wins should bring clean pride, but the playoff arrival came with warning lights already flashing. No Joe Alt, no Rashawn Slater, and an offensive line wrecked by injuries. Los Angeles entered the postseason like a team trying to compete with a vital piece ripped away. The 3-16 loss to the New England Patriots in the wildcard round was not just an ugly score. It confirmed that the offense had lost its foundation. And in the middle of all that frustration, Hampton's injury may have been one of the ones that hurt the most because of what he represented. A running back selected in the first round does not arrive to be a minor detail. He arrives with huge expectations, with the promise of changing the temperature of the offense, especially in a system that, under Greg Roman, appeared built to run hard and impose physicality. But the season never delivered the scene so many people imagined. The interesting twist is that Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated put Hampton into a bold prediction, leading the NFL in rushing yards in his second year. Is that a high bar? Absolutely. Can you see the logic behind it? Also yes. Hampton had 545 yards and averaged 4.4 yards per carry in a rushing attack that was nowhere close to operating at full strength. That number does not scream at you on the surface, but it whispers something important. The burst was there, even when the context was not helping him. With Mike McDaniel, this conversation gets even more exciting. A lot of people immediately think about the creative passes, the speed plays, and the yards after catch opportunities. But the heartbeat of McDaniel's offenses usually begins on the ground. Outside zone demands vision, acceleration, quick patience, and explosion through the cut. Hampton has the size, strength, and athleticism to turn that design into a serious problem for defenses. And when Max McCaffrey says Omarion can fit into any scheme, pointing to the strength, size, and athleticism he has shown in practice, that adds fuel to the hope without needing to overdo it. Health still controls this story. Volume does too. Devon Achane had 238 carries in 16 games in McDaniel's offense last season. If Hampton gets anywhere close to that type of share and stays near 4.4 yards per attempt, 1,000 yards stops being a pretty dream and starts becoming a very real target. I want to hear from the fan base on this one. Do you believe Hampton can become the engine of this new offense, or do you still need to see it before you completely buy in? The final story hits a debate that splits the fan base, because everybody wants to see the Chargers be aggressive. Everybody wants to see Justin Herbert surrounded by talent. And everybody understands that an elite quarterback window cannot be treated like it lasts forever. But aggression does not come in only one form. Sometimes it means trading premium picks for a star. Sometimes it means keeping your ammunition, building depth, and waiting for the right strike. Joe Hortiz appears to be choosing that second path. That comparison became even louder after the Rams made their move for Myles Garrett. The Rams pushed everything into the middle of the table. A first-round pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2028, a third-round pick in 2029, and Jared Verse. That is a massive, heavy package, the type of move made by a team that decided to live in the now without asking permission from the future. And you can respect that. Myles Garrett is a future Hall of Famer, a player who can change a Sunday by himself, a defender who forces the opposing offense to rebuild its plan before the ball is even snapped. But not every team can make that kind of move. More importantly, not every team should make that kind of move at the exact same moment. The Chargers are operating with a different blueprint. They do not have Myles Garrett, but they do have Khalil Mack, a future Hall of Famer who keeps being retained on one-year deals around $18 million. That is flexibility with elite presence, and that matters. They also have Tuli Tuipulotu too, and this is where the conversation becomes serious. 23 years old, 26 career sacks, still climbing, still moving toward a major contract, still looking like a piece who can sustain pressure for years. That is the kind of player a smart franchise does not treat like a side note. Now add Akeem Mesidor, a newly drafted rookie, with no need for exaggerated promises, but with the profile to become part of that rotation. Add the fact that Los Angeles got interesting production after trading for Odafe Oweh, and the idea becomes clearer. The Chargers are trying to build an entire group, not bet everything on one single star. That does not erase the criticism. The fan base is absolutely right to look at the cap space and ask why this team is not pressing the gas harder. It is right to demand more protection on the interior of the offensive line. But in this specific case, keeping picks, keeping space, and keeping flexibility may leave the team alive for the right move at the right time. Hortiz's plan is not as loud as the Rams' plan, But if McDaniel lifts this offense and this defense keeps applying pressure in layers, Los Angeles may find out that patience can hurt opponents too when it comes with talent. I look at these four stories and feel the exact same thing. The Chargers are not far away, but they cannot play around with that distance either. Njoku, Kolar, and Gadsden can give Herbert a different kind of life. Pickens is an idea I would watch without blinking. Hampton could become the new heart of this offense. And Hortiz is trying to prove you can build intelligently without losing courage. I believe in this roster, but I want to see that belief turn into a win in January. If you feel like 2026 has to be the year of the answer too, subscribe to the channel and ride with me, because this road is about to heat up.